Yo.
We back. We back. Another day, another dollar. We hope. We hope another dollar. YouTube. YouTube.
We
Anyway,
see ya. We see ya.
we see
I
you,
see what
buddy.
you're
We see
doing.
you.
Yeah, we know
We
you.
we are going to be covering the issues with this ruling of the Supreme Court and the fallout from said ruling. What we've noticed is that
Jeez.
the left has gone completely unhinged. I mean, okay, we knew they were unhinged before. We get that.
Yeah.
But I think this is a whole nother level. I think this is like Kavanaugh Supreme Court times 10. This is like Goku and Kaioken kind of thing. This is going crazy.
Times
And
20.
they have said some things that I don't know how most of the people that have said stuff are not in jail. I really don't know how they're not investigated. I
That's
don't know
right.
how they're not, like most people, like that dude who said something about Biden that shot in his house. I don't know how they're not raided and popped a couple in their skull. I don't know how that's not possible, but an old dude saying something about Biden, he gets offed. I don't get
Yep.
that one. But hey, we all know there's a double standard. So
Mhm.
what we're
Yep.
gonna do
Yep.
initially is show you they're unhinged. I mean, most of you probably saw the video we dropped, so you can get a nice taste, a preview of what they say. And we're gonna go over it and kind of comb through it, a little bit of a fine tooth comb, and we'll pick apart each of the people that we see in the video, and try
Wait.
and decipher what it is about them that has to resort to violence every time if they don't have
Do
the
they
way.
understand? Does our audience understand what the actual ruling is first?
Well, they should, because we did last time. We went
Yeah,
over that. So they better, y'all better understand it. The more important picture is, why can't everybody? So
Yep.
we're gonna, and of course we have the first bald black monkey here.
Oh
She'll
gosh,
be the first one.
what a stain
Now
on the
I'm gonna say
screen.
this. I'm gonna say this.
Oh
This
my
is not a knock
God.
against black women, because I know plenty of attractive black women. She is not one of them.
No.
Definitely not.
Joy Reid is not an attractive human being, neither inside or outside. No matter how much makeup she wears or whatever she does, she'd be better off hiding under a blanket made of absolute concrete for her to look any good. So you're gonna see the internal anger and ugly come to the outside, and not just with her, with quite a few people. So here we go. Prep yourself. It gets ugly, kind of like Joy Reid.
Hell.
Y'all just tell me who the nominee is going to be. Let me know when you guys are finished fighting amongst yourselves who I got to vote for in November to keep Hitler out the White House. That's
Oh, okay. First question. What is the role of a journalist?
To be fair and impartial, neutral.
To perpetrate propaganda for the establishment and
Well, no,
deny any wrongdoings of anything ever possible.
Corey, we're not talking about this reality. We're talking about the
Oh,
really
okay.
real world. The real world. This is your degree. What's the definition?
Let me ask a better question. When has a journalist been? When's the last time a journalist existed in the
Cronkite.
media?
Before
Early
Obama.
Cronkite. Early Cronkite.
Before
Yeah.
Obama, yeah, because we signed a thing that says you were allowed to propagandize the American people, because that used to be illegal, that you couldn't create propaganda and disseminate it to the American people. That used to be illegal. We couldn't do that because, I don't know, communists, we had a thing where communists were doing propaganda, and then they made that illegal so we could fight against communism, and then communism still took over anyway.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, journalists, and whether you're right or left, are supposed to be fair and impartial, neutral, tell the truth, so the people understand what's going on in the world. And now we have this.
Yeah.
I saw another creator who was talking about this, is that journalists don't exist anymore because they are basically spoon-fed from Ivy League schools and rich families, or upper middle class, or even high class people, and then are shoehorned in. So the journalists used to be average Americans and working class people type of individuals that actually wanted to get to the truth. But journalists now are being fed through these schools in very Ivy League institutions, or come from very wealthy families, and so they want to protect their own. And so that's why we get all this type of propaganda anymore, is because we don't actually have normal Americans as journalists who want to actually seek the truth, not be told what the truth is.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll find this more and more, because if you can't control the masses with policy, you have to control the masses with violence.
That's right.
And that's what they end up doing, is giving you a violent output to everything that they got. So if you don't want, it's coercion without you having any recourse. Because here's the thing. Remember when BLM started their crap back in 19 and 20? And everyone was told that it was peaceful and you had to agree with it being peaceful. And if you didn't agree with being peaceful, you were a bigot, racist, piece of crap, that kind of stuff. That's exactly what they do in order to perpetrate their message. They cannot afford for you to have a dissent, although they love dissenting opinions when it's in the Supreme Court to their favor, which I find kind of odd. But if you disagree with them, that's a whole nother case.
Well, look at, for example, what's happening in France right now. France is burning right before the Olympics because Le Pen is winning.
Yeah.
So the leftists are in the street rioting and burning things down like they always do when they don't get their way, because they love democracy as long as you vote in our direction. That's how it always goes.
And that's how it's going to continue to go until we do something, which is why we're trying to do what we're doing. And so we're gonna let her little ugly behind continue real quick.
That's all I want to know. Who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. Y'all do your thing. Play in traffic all you want in front of these Republicans, acting a fool in front of these people instead of privately declaring your stuff. But don't text me no more, because I'm not taking no more of these texts. Just let me know when you guys are finished figuring it out, Democrats, because I know y'all the freak out people. Go ahead and freak out, have your conversation, and then let me know who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. That's it. I'm done. Oh, and by the way, if it's Biden in a coma, I'm going to vote for Biden in a coma. I don't even really particularly like the guy. A lot of his policies, don't like him. He's not Donald Trump, right?
That's it.
She is one.
God.
So what she's saying, in case people couldn't understand stupid, she is a moron.
Yes.
Joy Reid is not an intelligent human being. She's a shill. She's a face, a black face for CNN, MSNBC, wherever the heck she works, one of them nasty networks. She's a slave, is what she is. She's a house nigga, is what she is. Get that one through y'all head. Joy Reid is a house nigga, and she enjoys the role. She not only enjoys the role, she makes sure that she beds Massa as well, because she's married to one. Just in case y'all forget. And with this kind of nonsense where you say, I'd vote for a corpse, I'd vote for somebody in a coma, that proves to me that you're intellectually slow and dishonest at the same time. Yep. How are you going to tell me that you are trying to be proficient in law and you know exactly what is going on in government, but you would be willing to put a vegetable, well, one's already there, a second time in power?
Hey, Marlon, I got a clip that perfectly excoriates what she's trying to do. This is the best story about Trump that I've ever heard. And I want you to remind you what she just said. She would rather vote for a person that is in a coma than this.
Favorite President Trump story. This is my number one favorite of all time. When we were negotiating with the Taliban while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal. Meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we will start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they are talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him that.
Yes.
Tell him what I said. Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months, not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
That's the definition of strength. That's what I'm talking about. And so you could.
So I want to remind you, so they would rather have sleepy Joe Biden in a coma than a person that would actually make the Taliban blink.
The reason they want that is because he will not go to war. If you have the fear of the United States in front of people, in terms of, I have the military might to take you out. I'm trying not to, but if I have to, I'm going to do it. Instead of Please do it so we can create another vacuum and keep ourselves in war because we have an industrial complex to keep running.
Yep.
This is
Yep.
why I say she's a shill. She knows full well that she makes all of her money if America stays in war. And this is
Mhm.
why she's more than happy to vote for a corpse or a mentally deficient human being for president, because she knows that will keep us
Mhm.
perpetually fighting. And if you can do that, her money keeps coming in and she can keep her little masses happy. This is how she works. This is not
There
different
was-
than any other entertainer in the world. No different than any of the, even Fox is the same way.
Yep.
Don't get it twisted. They were
They're all
behind
part
Bush.
of it.
They were behind Bush. They were behind Reagan when he went over. They were behind all the Republican presidents that went to war too. This is not just a Democrat president issue where only Democrats go to war. No, we will call both sides out. We've had multiple Republican presidents that are thriving in war.
Yep.
This is just the first one that they realize, crap, our money could dry up if he does this more. What do we got to
Right.
do? Well, discredit him. It doesn't work though, because we now can see what America looks like without war. Can you believe without war we actually have money home? What a novel
know, right?
idea! Ain't
What
that
a
crazy?
novel idea. Andrew.
Man.
So here's to add on to your thing. There was an article of them defending the defense spending in Ukraine, saying, well, like $61 billion of that is going into the U.S. economy, and guess where it's going? They were like, oh, it's going to Lockheed, Boeing, right? Just started
That's the
listing off
jobs.
all of the
Those are the-
defense
Those are the jobs.
contractors. Yeah, but that's where the money's going in the economy. So you're just telling me what we already knew, is that the defense industry is getting all of that money and it's going nowhere else other than there.
Well, vote away, Joy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hitler,
Do you?
White House, we keeping them out, keeping Project 2025 out. That's all I care about. Up
And-
and down
and
the
there's
ballot,
that-
from the rooter to the
There's
tutor.
that buzzword, Project 2025.
Yep.
Yeah.
School board, all the way up to White House and everything in between. Governors, members of Congress. I'm just going to vote all the way down to keep these people out.
And again, it's not us saying so, John Hammond. That is a
Now, this clip, I want to quantify this clip real quick because this one is a little bit different because it was earlier. This was before. This particular clip is hearing them advocate for drone striking President Trump. Okay, I want people to understand this. We have a machine called the media that are quite fine with stating on national TV that the government should drone strike a person they consider a terrorist with
Yep.
no tangible evidence of him being a terrorist other than they say, because we don't like what you say and how you behave, you're a terrorist. Now listen carefully to them saying it.
bulletin released to all law enforcement earlier this week that there is, until the end of April, a persistent threat of domestic extremism, domestic terrorism carried out in the ideology and around this belief that the election was fraudulent, that the COVID restrictions are unnecessary.
Which both are completely true, FYI. And if we do think that, we have the right, as
Yep.
American citizens, we
Yep.
can think whatever the hell we want. That is part of being an American. Just because you don't like how I think doesn't mean you can shut me up.
You're
We
allowed
have
to be
yet
wrong
see
in America and not
anybody on
die.
the right become a domestic terrorist. Not once. Not once. Please show me where. Has anyone seen a domestic terrorist that shows up that's on the right? Name one time. In the last 2 years, 3 years, I'll give you 3. Name one time.
No, I haven't seen one. And this is just an ongoing thing with the left. This just didn't start where, they start labeling people that disagree with them as terrorists or domestic terrorists. You had Hillary Clinton was calling for re-education camps. You had AOC that was calling for re-education camps of Trump supporters. So people have to understand, if they're talking this mess about Trump, what do you think they think about his supporters? If they can do this to him, they can do the same thing to us. So understand
goal.
what they're saying is they want us to be like them, think like them. And if you don't, you're considered a threat to their democracy.
All of those ideologies pushed by Donald Trump. But my question for you is around incitement. We had a policy, and it was very controversial. It was carried out under the Bush years and under the Obama years, of attacking terrorism at its root, of going after and killing, and in the case of Amr al-Awlaki, an American, a Yemeni American, with a drone strike for the crime of inciting violence,
Which
inciting
was still
terrorism.
illegal.
Mitch McConnell was in the Senate then. He was in the Senate after 9/11 too. How does Mitch McConnell, who understands
I hope y'all caught that.
Mhm.
Now, say what y'all want. You
Yep.
might think that they're talking off script. It is all scripted.
Yep.
Everything they link in a statement is intentional. Here's how. Mitch McConnell was there. Okay, you can talk about the current. What do? They have to appeal to emotional state. 9/11. 3,000 souls. Oh my goodness, this is exactly what's going to happen again. This is what they do. And so that when the time they say the next statement that they're going to make, they're going to be people like, well, not if we don't want 9/11 to happen, I guess I should agree with them because this is to prevent another 9/11.
that the way you root out terrorism is to take on, in the case of Islamic terrorism, kill those who incite it. How does he not vote to convict someone that he said on the floor of the Senate incited an insurrection?
So
avocation of drone striking, and then I think that was an old clip. So it's like then
Yes.
a president, right?
Yes.
She was advocating for a military coup of assassinating the president with a drone strike, or American citizens at the very least with a drone strike. You just like let that sink in, and like, this is how these people think. So when they say that we should take out the Supreme Court, it's kind of in the same vein. Is like you don't get your way, you don't get your votes because you live in a country with other people. Therefore, your default is to commit violence against them.
Get rid of
Oh,
it.
so here's the thing you have to think about. Whenever America deems a country the enemy, what is one of the things that America or the West does in that country that they deem a threat? What is one thing that they go after?
Well, first they send a CIA guy in a box.
They go after the opposition and they do a regime change. So they get what they want in there, who they control. It's no different in America. If America's willing to go to another country, bomb an opposition of people that they don't agree with politically, and insert their guy in there, what makes you think, like for real, what makes you think that they won't do that here?
Yeah.
They don't want opposition to anything they do.
No. And so like,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, exactly what they do. So instead of the CIA, it was the FBI here, and they stoked and did agents provocateur to try to kidnap Whitmer, for one. All right, Gretchen Whitmer.
I remember that.
Remember that? Where most of the people that were involved in that conspiracy were FBI agents or they were informants. So they created the problem themselves. And the same thing with January 6th. We have no idea how many and who was involved in the agent provocateurs that were in the Capitol at that on that day. So we don't know what they did, but we know that they did it. It's the same thing we do overseas with CIA agents. We send a guy over, right? He finds the opposition, he stokes tensions, and then they create certain scenarios that benefit what they want.
Exactly what happened in Libya.
Yep.
With Gaddafi. When Gaddafi went out, who did they get to replace him? They got the one guy that leaked documents say he's cooperative and he left Gaddafi's crew because of all the corruption that was going on with Gaddafi.
Sure.
Yeah,
Jalil, right? Jalil.
And again, it's no different here. And you got to look at how they do it over there and what's happening right now. Just in the video we showed, they create the problem. They throw out a solution through fear mongering. So if they do something like that, they could say, oh, we're doing it for the safety of our democracy. And then there's people that won't care. They'll be like, oh, they were protecting democracy.
Yeah, we're protecting democracy.
It's the same technique, just here in America.
So-
They just use it differently.
So in that instance, then perhaps Saddam Hussein wasn't as bad of a guy as
he wasn't.
been let on.
No.
They loved him.
Even the people on the ground when I was there, they said he wasn't that bad of a guy. They loved him.
So
yeah, because you hear stories all the time of people saying you ruined Iraq. Before like you came, everything was pretty good for a lot of people, and then it just got worse and it never got better. Same thing. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say Afghanistan was better before we came, but it's definitely not any better since we left. That's for sure.
When you look at Iraq, right? When you look at Iraq, and of course we know who to blame for Iraq, and it wasn't a Democrat. FYI.
Bush.
That's right.
Just FYI, we're not blaming a Democrat for that. That was that pervert, Mr. Bush, with his stinking father, who is also married to
The Bush family.
I back up. And he was married to a dude, by the way. Barbara was a guy. In case people wondered. And that's what I genuinely believe. And it's not based on look. And he was also responsible for killing Kennedy. Just why. And anyway, so I digress. But when you look at this on the surface, at what he did to go into Iraq, that had nothing to do with 9/11, mind you. He used the pretext of harming Americans. This is what they do for war. They get the Americans, people warmed up to the idea that, hey, someone hates us. Good. Oh no, look what they did. They killed us. Oh no, what do we have to do? Get them back. Okay, we're gonna get them back. So what do you do when you get them back? You kill. And once you kill, you vacuum. Once vacuum is there, you create more war because you bring in the people that will eventually replace the people that you thought were bad and show everybody, see, Iraq was bad all along. Now we have someone even worse. You see how much worse they got? And we got to keep going at them in more war and more war. The same thing with Iran. All the time that America steps in, every time we erase somebody who actually is trying to do something, Gaddafi, trying to do something for the people, erase them because it's not helpful.
That's right.
This is exactly how they do.
And it's real fast, Marlon. I know we got to continue on, but it's just like if you look at January 6th, right? Jan 6 happened. We all know the story. We all know the truth. Whether they want to talk about it or not, it's going to come out. It's out. They created this perception of Trump supporters are bad, insurrectionists. And that's what they do. So again, if they can label all Trump supporters as insurrectionists, as they did with Jan 6, they would have no problem in taking Trump supporters out, including Donald Trump. And the American people, they'll put it in their head so much, and you see it now, they'll put it in their head so much that the American people will think that it's okay because we are a threat, or Trump supporters are a threat to their democracy.
Our democracy.
All right.
Every time he talks, he's putting himself into a bigger criminal hole. But that's not his objective. His objective is purely political at this point.
You know what I like most is when they say stuff like that, a bigger criminal hole, but they can't tell the crime.
Right.
Lying by omission. Is that what it is?
No crime.
Yeah.
How does that work? Exactly. How does it work when you tell me you committed a crime? What is it? Criminally crime.
The crime. That
He
thing.
keeps digging criminal holes. I didn't know you could dig criminal holes.
I remember that movie. I remember the movie called Holes. You remember?
Holes, yeah.
Holes was a great movie.
It was a fantastic movie.
It's so funny because like the case in New York is gonna fall apart now because of the Supreme Court decision. Like that's going to be the big thing. So they're saying that he keeps falling into criminal action, and it's just like, but every criminal action is made up because they couldn't find anything else.
It's falling apart.
I just love it.
Yeah.
Really political at this point. Politics don't work in a courtroom, as I think he's finding out in the New York Attorney General's case in New York, a civil case, and that's going to continue in his criminal trials. But his rhetoric is really getting dangerous, more and more dangerous. And we saw what happened on January 6th when he uses inflammatory rhetoric now, and his recent Truth Social post is incredibly, incredibly scary for anyone that might be trying to work in government. And
even he couldn't keep
it
a
is
straight
just
face.
unquestionable at this point that man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy.
There it is.
And he has to be eliminated.
He has to be what?
Eliminated.
Now, let me ask a
Yo,
question.
he said that with his whole chest.
Hey, what does that word mean?
That's what I was going to ask. I'm a dummy.
Okay.
I'm a dummy. So please, and I know the only intelligent person on the panel is the white dude. So we're going to defer to the cracker to get this one.
Now,
what
I
does he
would
mean by eliminated?
So I would give him the benefit of the doubt, and I would assume that he means eliminated from the election.
Contention?
But that's never stopped them from taking the most extreme option, which is legislatively, judicially. The only thing that left is an assassination.
Yeah. Coy,
I'm pretty sure that's what he meant. I'm pretty sure that's
if I
what
was
he meant.
going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I didn't
No,
say I was
but
giving
let's
them the benefit of the doubt.
pull the actual definition up for the people. So
I got it.
We know what elimination means.
I gotcha. So when he said eliminated, that is the past tense of the word eliminate, which is a verb to remove or get rid of, especially as being in some way undesirable.
Yeah. How do they treat undesirables in the Democrat Party?
And not just that, for a terrorist, which is what he called him.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a
How do you get
terrorist.
rid of them? Judging on what they've said before. Now, remember, the first clip with him being a terrorist is earlier, a year earlier. So if we match that with what he's saying, the only conclusion that you can come back with is what? Death. Now, remember, in 2016,
Mhm.
there was a host of CNN anchors that says, one in particular says, what we have left to do is to put a bullet
Mhm.
into Trump's head. He said this out loud on CNN.
Was he
Yes.
black and gay, or was he
No, white and bald.
white? Oh,
Yeah,
it was
white
white
and
and bald. I thought it was.
Which
I
one
thought it
was that?
Let me find. Okay, I want to find this one.
Yeah, I need that clip.
Yes, let's get it.
And
White
and while
bald.
Marlon's looking at it, can anyone on the panel tell me at any point within a conservative, mainstream conservatism, have you heard any conservative anchor, political figure, creator call for the death of Joe Biden?
No.
Have you ever heard it? Unalive, death?
I've said I hope he rides in pain on his bed, but I've never actively wanted to incite violence on him. I just hope he passed by naturally.
You should never wish death upon another person, because then you invite death upon yourself. That's how I always believe. Right.
And
So I don't want to wish death on Joe Biden. Neither does the right. We just wish he was in a retirement home sleeping away. That's what we wish.
Exactly. And that's what we say.
Maybe with some kidney stones, but
yeah. But you notice a trend here. You know, the left always talks about how violent the right is, and the only thing they can ever go to is insurrection, J6. That's all they ever talk about when they know, again, that there's some fishy stuff with that. But they don't ever talk about all the violence that they committed. That's 10 times with the right, whether it be school shootings, whether it be the Summer of Love, whether it be all the insurrections of the Capitol buildings across the United States, whether it be those what are those zones in Washington, those autonomous zones, the autonomous zones where people are getting killed in these autonomous zones. They don't ever want to talk about that stuff. They don't want to talk about how violent the left is. But every time they talk about the right, it's only J6.
Remember the guy that shot the justice, Scalia?
Yeah.
There's that. There's also the two black kids that were shot to death in the Chaz or the Chop, whichever one it was. And nobody ever talks about them. They just disappeared in the limelight. They got shot by probably some far leftist white dude with an AK when they were just joyriding around.
Remember,
nobody came to justice. Nobody got charged for that.
You remember the baseball game?
Yep.
Where Rand Paul, remember that baseball where they all got shot at?
Yeah.
Was that it, Scalia?
I believe so.
Yeah. It's just, but they don't ever want to talk about that stuff.
Here's
also the
also
ICE building attack too. You can't forget about that one.
That's right. Here's also something else that I found to be interesting about this particular definition. To remove or get rid of something, especially as being in some way undesirable. The last time I checked, somebody who used a similar rhetoric, because that last journalist used that word rhetoric a couple of times. But last time I checked, some genetically inferior, definitely ugly Madam Beefcake used the term basket of deplorables.
Yeah.
And the last time I checked, anytime somebody uses words to dehumanize a group of people, they come up with something called a final solution. There's a group that did that. Oh, where was it?
Yeah, I think the right does it in terms of just making fun of them, but the left actually means what they say. So when they call somebody a maggot, they mean that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they have,
whereas like we call you a libtard, we're just making fun of you.
Yeah, they have hate in their heart. And, when they talk about eliminate, the left is real good at eliminating things. I mean, they want to eliminate babies all day. They love eliminating facts.
Find this.
The most successful version of white supremacy was the liberal idea to convince black women to kill their children. Yeah. So, like, as much as they say the greatest threat to Black America is white supremacy, they seem to forget that liberals are the ones that are telling you to kill your children. I just want to point that out, that logical and fallacy inside of your brain that should make sense to you. The left tells you to kill your children every single chance they get.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for I found the guys Rick Wilson, Rick Warren or Rick Wilson? Rick Wilson. Who said it? And he said this guy who honestly believes that he can change the fabric of reality and make it go away with one tweet. And then he said that we need to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Hey guys,
Now,
fun
this
fact.
is the clip here. We're going to play it here.
Fun fact: Rick Wilson is the co-founder
copy.
of the 1619 Project.
Oh, of course he is.
This can go.
Why wouldn't he
Okay,
be?
here we go. This is it.
Yep.
Make sure I mute that. There we go.
GOP donor class member, all right, if I'm in the vaunted Republican establishment. I am psyched about Carson's rise because here's what it makes me think. In 2012, we got that chart of the primary leader that happened in that summer before in 2011, where everyone sort of gets a turn, right? And those were truncated short cycles, 4, 6, 8 weeks, and eventually went into Romney. Carson's rise at the expense of Trump makes me think, hopefully, if I'm a donor class establishment Republican, the same thing's happening here. It's just on a longer time scale. Does that scan to you?
Somewhat, but here's the thing. Trump is still a very powerful force right now, and he's still holding a lot of the part of the base that is very activated by his message, the nativist message that's got a fraction of the base very energized. And the donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Now, mind you,
Isn't that on
Mind
live
you,
TV in 2016? Jesus.
this
Or was it
is
2015?
a
Yeah.
presidential candidate,
Yes.
which means they are running to become president, and a journalist or strategist or whatever you want to call him, shill, got on TV to say they're still going to have to put a bullet in Donald Trump.
And Rick Wilson.
The only
Rick Wilson identifies as a Republican too.
Yeah.
And here's another thing is like all these celebrities too. We're talking about what's happening now. This has been going on, as we all know, for years. You had Johnny Depp came out and said, when was the last time an actor shot a president? You had that witch Madonna talking about burning down the White House. You had Snoop Dogg doing a video of him shooting, some guy dressed up as Donald Trump. So they've been pushing this for a while. They've been embedding this in people's heads, especially the left. This is why the left is so bold about saying it, because they're like, well, this celebrity did nothing happen to them. You had that other redheaded demon that was holding the head of Kathy Griffin holding the head. So they see this stuff and they see, well, there's nothing really happening to these people. So I'm bold enough to say this on social media. And that's why a lot of these people are saying this now. In my opinion.
Only reason. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No. I said in my opinion. I'm good.
Okay, in your opinion. So here's the thing: is the only reason that they haven't done something violent towards Donald Trump is the fact that they learned from their mistake with Kennedy. Instead of getting rid of Kennedy, they made him a martyr and made him be looked up upon and put them in a negative light for years, and they still haven't gotten over that. Had they have just destroyed him by Marilyn Monroe, using Monroe to destroy him would have been an easier feat, especially at the time in the 60s. It would have been easier.
Well,
but instead they shot him.
Let me run that thought down and see why they couldn't do it. Okay. And I think they were fine with running the whole theory of it being a martyr thing. I think they were fine with the martyr because he was a Democrat. This is my first. But I think they didn't want to run the womanizer thing down the track because of who was also on the other side that he was trying to sign the bill with that was also a womanizer, MLK. Yeah, you couldn't really force that idea because then you'd have to take MLK. Trust me, the racist would have come and say MLK too. So you couldn't really run that rabbit hole down because you'd end up shooting yourself in the foot.
Right.
So it would have been it's a catch-22 for them. It would have been a catch-22. So they figured, kill him. We can always cover it up. And by the time people figure it out, it'll be too late. They can't do anything about it, and we already got what we want, which was the new advanced civil rights.
Right, and that's kind of the mistake they made. But like they tried a different scenario this time, and they've done everything under the sun to try to destroy this guy, which
not working.
Which isn't working because he's not a normal politician. Had Trump been a normal politician, he would have been out in 2016. Yeah. Right, he would have never won in the first place because Hillary would have won it because that's how it was supposed to go. Right. The reason they're so upset is because he won because he wasn't supposed to win. He wasn't on the agenda for the administrative state. They had their person picked who was going to be the next person that was going to work with them and do what they wanted, and they lost, which wasn't supposed to happen in our democracy. Remember, in our democracy, it only goes one way, the way that the administrative state says. And because it didn't, now we're on this track.
That's exactly what they wanted.
Yep.
So the Supreme Court ruled that a president has complete immunity for
No, it
any
didn't.
act they do in their official capacity as president. And Joe Biden is still president. And the Supreme Court is counting on Joe Biden to continue to be the good man that he is and not abuse what they have just given him. But personally, I think Joe Biden should go full Monty on this. I mean, in his official capacity as president, maybe he could just disband the Supreme Court or unalive Donald Trump.
That's crazy.
I mean, he'd have complete
You
immunity.
can't, because
He's
those aren't
president,
official
right?
duties covered by the
That would
Constitution.
certainly solve a lot of our problems.
I'm done.
This is the best one.
I'm fucking
Oh, God.
seriously done.
Gay.
The Supreme Court has pissed me off so much right now.
I can't tell what that is.
Like, so much.
Gay.
Joe, you're a reasonable man. You don't want to do this, but here's the reality. This is a fucking war. This is a war now, and we are fighting for our fucking country. And these assholes are going to take it away. They're going to take it away. Fuck you, Clarence Uncle Thomas. Fuck you.
Wow.
Joe,
That's some race.
you now have the right to take that bitch Trump out. Take him out, Joe. If he was
There
Hitler
it is.
and this was 1940, you'd take him out. Well, he is Hitler,
No.
and this is 1940. Take him the fuck out. Blow him up.
Nope.
Blow him up, or they'll blow us up.
See,
I mean, at this point,
Hey, go ahead.
wait
Jay.
a minute. I got to point this out. We didn't even kill Hitler. Hitler killed himself. I want to point that logical and fallacy there. of that
Allegedly.
Even if we caught Hitler, he would have been put on trial in Nuremberg with the rest of them, and it would have been the best spectacle of all time, right? But instead, we were trying to beat the Russians to Hitler, and then Hitler decided, you know what, I would rather not risk the Russians getting me, and offed himself, according
What
to
was you-
history. We'll say that.
What was you going to say, Jay?
no, I just don't understand how, like, and we're the villains in all of this because we're not, we're just simply saying that Biden is a dementia monkey and that offends them, but this rhetoric is okay. Like,
Yeah.
Democracy
I'm
only works
him?
one way, man.
I-
Only one way.
And here's my question. Okay, let's say in their reality that fantasy world they live in, that actually happens. Let's say in the fantasy world, play with me here, that happens. Biden says, okay, strike, takes the man out. What do these leftists think that's going to happen? What's going to happen?
lots
Well,
of curb stomping.
do they understand the ramifications of if they do that? Do they think his base is just going to sit back and say, okay, it's over?
Mhm.
No.
It's on
You're-
site.
You're shaking a hornet's nest, man. You guys have been saying this over and over again, and who do you think his base is going to blame for this?
Mike.
Right. I want to point
Yes.
out that this is how democracy works.
Yes.
by the
What's,
way.
who
Is
is
that-
whispering my name?
It's me.
Oh.
It's me. You use one very interesting word when talking
Oh.
about the left.
Oh, what's
What,
that?
what think? You see, the
Oh,
problem
yeah.
is
You're
in
right.
case
They don't
people
think
wondering who this picture of. This is Pat. Many of you may not remember Pat, but Pat was a character on SNL way back in the day. And this is who she reminds me. It reminds me of Pat. And Pat was an androgynous kind of character, and you couldn't tell what Pat was. Pat was neither this nor
Yep.
that. And this is every time I see that face, this is who I think of. Pat. I just
Is
thought
it
I'd
Patrick or
introduce you guys.
Patrice? We don't know.
Yeah, Patrice, Patty, yeah.
It's just ridiculous how unhinged they are, as in the title. They're so unhinged that they have the arrogance to get on social
That's what it
media
is.
and say those things like they're untouchable. I can say what we want because I'm a leftist and I'm down with our democracy, and I'm just going to say it because all my friends in my echo chamber agree with me.
Our democracy only works if we're in power, and so no one else is allowed to have choices. In fact, because the Democratic Party doesn't actually do that, because even in their own primaries, they don't allow you to actually have a choice. You have an illusion
That's
of
right.
choice. They have their democracy, which is we have a guy that we want, and that person is it. And you don't have a choice in your primary. That's the person you're
can
going
I-
to get behind, and you're going to have to vote for. That's it.
Can I?
Because
can I also-
that's how a single party works, right? Is that we have a thing we want to have done, and it happens, or else. That's it.
Mhm.
Can I also say that it would be a white liberal lesbian buffoon that would also pick out the black Supreme Court justice and call him that exact same racial epithet that
Uncle Tom.
Call,
it
called him
came
an
out
Uncle
like
Tom and called
butter.
for his death. That is the
But-
worst part about it.
Didn't we discuss this before? Was it 2
Mhm.
episodes ago about
Yeah.
how these white woke leftists get a pass to call black people that?
Because
You know what I mean? They can just say it because they're an ally.
I mean, at this point, this disgusting, filthy white liberal lesbian might as well have just said the N word with the hard ER, and we'd
She
be
did.
okay with
in her
it.
head. In her head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she did.
Just
Yeah.
George-
she might as well have said that she wanted to lynch Thomas. That's what she
Yes!
should have just said.
That's
Yeah,
what they
she
want.
could have said it.
I
Yeah.
want to address George real quick, and I agree. Listen, I agree because back then we genuinely thought it was funny because it was insane. We didn't think it was funny because it was natural. We thought it was hilarious because it was too insane to think that it would happen in our lifetime.
Right.
And yet
Mhm.
here we are in 4K. Where this thing has
Right.
become the natural way of thinking for most crazy people. So, look, yeah, they were buttering us up, but genuinely, we weren't thinking, "Oh, this is going to be real." No, we didn't think it was going to be real. We never thought that we would see an androgynous person as a normal thing in society. Well, for me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk for me. I never thought
You-
this was normal. Never.
The Jungian thought is that if you do not have religion, then your mind will make one up for you. And that's exactly what this is that the left has gotten rid of religion, so they made their politics their religion. And you
Mhm.
know who's the most fervent believers of the faith? Are usually the people that are willing to go on the crusade. I'm just wanted to point that out there. So these people are willing to go on the crusades and call for the death of their enemies because they are blasphemers who are damaging our democracy, which our democracy is their religion.
Their religion.
Well,
They love
then
it.
I'm a heretic.
And what would you call that? What would you call that? I'm sorry,
Delusional?
Jay. A what? A cult?
Well, yeah, but I'm gonna say I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Then fine, I'm your heretic. Never mind. No.
I guess it's a Les Raider because I'm trying to think of a crusader, a combination of lesbian and crusader. What's a Les Raider?
Joan of Arc.
Les
wannabe.
Raider. Yeah.
Just
This one is bad. This next one bad.
I guess, theoretically, President Biden, acting within the scope of his official duties, could dispatch the military to take out the conservative justices on.
Well,
holy cow!
now, if you were to say take out all, I could see you being fair, but you want to take out all the conservative justices on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, you can't brand them as terrorists because they've done nothing in the definition of terrorism being violent. They've not done that. So you calling for the death of the justices that you disagree with, technically it's worse than what you did with calling for Trump's death.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of make a case that Trump kind of said some things that we could take as violent. You could make it. You could. It's not smart, but you could. You can't do that with the justices. There's nothing that they've done that is promoting violence.
Nope.
My question is like, how are we the fascists
I
when
don't-
all they
man.
ever advocate for is single party rule, no matter what it is? Even though the right and the Republicans, as spineless as they are, always seem to say we need to make compromises, we need to work with the opposition, we need to be Americans together. That's what we've always been saying. But these people do not believe that. They do not believe you are the same American that they are. They have their own religion, their own beliefs, their own belief structures, and you are a heretic.
I think we should be like them more. That way we can
Yeah, we
actually
need
fight
to
on
be.
equal
You need to
footing.
stop playing nice.
The
It's like we
court,
do not live in
and
the same
he'd be
country as
immune.
them.
Hey guys.
Oh.
So we know that over the last, several days, there's been a lot of conversation about a certain old person.
I think it's a man. I'm officially sold. Joy Reid is not a girl. That's a
Yeah.
that's a male.
Yeah.
Look,
She-
it's a male. That has to be a male.
That
There's
has
no
to be.
way that could be a female. I'm sorry.
But-
No.
She looked like
It's sad,
crackhead.
Marlon. Like I've seen a pattern where you find very unattractive women, and you say they got to be a man. They can't be that ugly.
No. It's because it's true.
It is.
Look, I'm gonna tell you. I've seen ugly women that still act feminine.
yeah.
I've seen ugly women that still
Okay.
are feminine. This
She's
thing
not.
is not a woman.
Unattractive immediately.
Whatever
bad-
it is, it does not need to be in the public light.
I mean, we could legitimately say that she is actually the blonde, big back, butch bodied
I get what she is a female looking Morgan Freeman. That's what that is. Minus the freckles. That's what it is. It's Morgan Freeman on
Don't
that's
do that
Morgan
to
She
Freeman.
makes like 10 grand a day too. Like she gets paid an astronomical amount of money to be on MSNBC.
Y'all can tell me if I'm
She
lying.
just-
I bet you if I bring up a young picture of
She
Morgan
does.
Freeman, it'll be her.
Yeah, she does. Look,
That's
look at
Morgan
that.
Freeman, bro.
I don't want to
Yeah,
do that, to
that-
Morgan.
look at
Maybe
look-
you need to
look
find a younger picture of her, and maybe that'll work.
Look
or
at
him,
look
or
at them
whatever you wanna call it.
nostrils, just breathing up all the
All the
conservative
white
air.
man's
all the white, just breathing up all the white man's.
You damn racist, Chase.
Blacks can't be racist, okay?
No, we can't.
I know,
Remember?
right? It's
Say
it's
what
like a
we
free
want.
racism pass. You
free
just-
card.
Yeah.
There's
So listen to this part.
there's one for you right there. You need to make a racism card. So it's like a free racism card. Like you
Marlon
can hand out
has
to
one.
people.
They have one.
Marlon, don't you have a white privilege card?
I have a white privilege and
No,
I have
not
a black
privilege
privilege card.
He
too.
needs a free racism card. Like it's a free like a coupon almost. You know, like here's your
If
free
I-
coupon.
If
for
I do
racism.
that, I need to put a white liberal's face on it.
I'll give it
Yeah.
to all my white friends.
I do it, a white liberal. Now
Here, it's a free racist pass. There you go.
he
It's-
is going to say something to defend the dissenting opinion of Sotomayor. Okay.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
if you listen carefully, she'll actually make a case for the other 6.
Old infirm person who had a really bad debate last week. You know, we've all had these conversations. Everybody's group chats are blowing up about it. All the op-ed pages, the New York Times is telling everybody what to do. All the op-ed, all the smart people are writing think pieces and such about what should be done next as far as the candidates are concerned on the ballot. Well, today the Supreme Court just made all of that completely irrelevant because the Leonard Leo's handpicked 6, the Federalist Society 6, the Leonard Leo 6 on the court, just declared days before this nation celebrates its independence, presumably from the British king, that the
Presumably.
Wait, is the
You mean
Brits
you're
still
trying to
running the
rewrite
show?
history now? That didn't happen. That wasn't.
I guess it didn't happen. You know,
No, it's leading into our next thought, which I can complete it, which
Bro,
is
come on.
the Supreme Court just made a king, and they did not. They said that it needs to go back to the lower courts.
Yes,
we've
but-
discussed this
But
already.
what she said is inextricably lies.
Yep.
It is not presumably, it was the fact. You can't then try because you want to extrapolate what might have happened in the past to now. Like I said, I'm convinced that this woman is a stupid human being. I don't care how well she speaks. I do not care. Joy Reid's a retard. She needs a special helmet. She needs to have like a bib so she can drool. Go back to what you really are, a mongoloid. You're retarded. It
She
happened.
needs
This
to go
is
back to
exactly what
school.
we fought. It was the crown, you jackass. It was the crown.
Yeah.
There's no escaping history. Next, you're going to say what? Slavery didn't happen? I think we should erase that too. Slavery didn't happen.
I think we should just erase.
I'm going
all
to
that
start
shit.
erasing history just like that.
Yeah.
No, we
erase
did
it.
not have 400 years of slavery. You only had like 2.
Yeah.
And black
Not even
people
that.
were purposefully staying on plantations because they're stupid. That's what you want us to go back to history? This is how dumb you sound. This is how dumb you sound.
Mhm.
Presumably. Just to make a stupid point that's not even true based on the opinion.
She's trying to sound intelligent, and it's not working.
Absolute sloth.
never
of a
works
A
with her.
lot of these people have very low reading comprehension rates, and that because it has to be that either they have really low reading comprehension rates or they're knowingly lying to push a narrative because they know what the actual truth is, which is more than likely the case. Is that
gotta be
she's
the
knows what
second
she's
one.
saying is a lie. But then if it's not, then you're just stupid and you need to go learn how to redo reading comprehension
She's
again. and
remedial. She
critical
can't
thinking.
learn.
How do you have that kind of a reading comprehension when you're an honorary fellow at Harvard?
Honorary.
On
Well, you
paper.
can plagiarize and still be the president of Harvard, so it doesn't matter.
True. Okay. Fair enough.
But here's the thing, and we've stated this before on the Savage Patriots, that people like her, they are talking to their base. Most of their base is what? Low IQ, poor education. So it's easy to get through to those people because they're not going to go and look it up themselves. They're not going to go over there and read it. So they can skew the truth because they know that their base, a low IQ base, smooth brains, window lickers, you know, baseball
This
lickers.
is crazy.
are
You've got
going
it. I
listen
need to
to
correct you, Michael. This is they're not. It's not that they don't have brains. Is that they were institutionalized to think they're smart.
They're lobotomized.
That's worse. It's worse. They don't know they're stupid. They think they're smart.
Oh,
That's a good way to.
I would give them that excuse if
They
they
know
weren't
they're-
as stupid as they are.
Yeah, they know
because
their
they believe that because they went to college and they got a degree and they went to school that they're smarter than other people when they are not even midwits. They're low IQ people pretending to be midwits.
Do you know how there's a positive number and a negative number? They are on the negative number side. And so they know they're stupid, but because they see a number, they think they're smart.
Yeah, that's right.
So I know they know they're dumb, but they think their intelligence is the marker for intelligence.
They think that piece of
They
paper,
believe they're
that
smart.
degree they have, they think that piece of paper makes them intelligent.
Yeah, it does.
And it doesn't.
It
You
does.
know,
It sure does.
President of the United States and a former president of the United States, that they are a king. They have granted monarch-like powers to Donald Trump and declared him immune from prosecution for any acts that can be declared official acts. So any acts that he conducts as president, and said that any acts he conducts as president, which may have resulted in crimes, must be presumed to be official acts.
It does not say that like at all.
Presumption.
Like
Just
not
like you're
even
presumed to be
remotely
innocent
does it say that in the, not even half, not even a 15th, not even a millionth of a percent does it say that.
Well, here's
not even remotely.
Here's the thing: is that a presumption of innocence is also something that is ingrained in the Constitution. You are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Correct?
Right.
Like that's how our country works. So the president is presumed to be operating in an official capacity unless proven otherwise. Which, if you murder an American citizen without charge or trial, that is not an official act. That is a crime.
yeah, and the thing is when they keep talking about this immunity, they act like it only applies to Donald Trump. You know, they forget who's in office.
Right.
You know, so this applies to Trump and every president before him and the acting president. So these powers, these monarch-like powers, these king-like powers she's talking about, the guy that's sitting in office has those the same exact powers that you're talking about. But what you guys are betting on, you're betting that Biden will never, ever, ever, he's such a good guy, he'll never abuse his powers, but Trump will. Come on, man.
But no,
Spoiler
but
alert,
at the same
Biden
time,
already has.
and they're encouraging him to. The
Yep.
difference is they think Trump might, while encouraging Biden to actually do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Trump still has to get into the White House
And to
he
even
could-
remotely sniff doing it.
Right. So he could still lose. So you're saying that he has the power to do X. That means you think he's going to win. Like I want to put that out there. They think he's going to win, so therefore he's going to use his powers against them. Right? Like that's what they're going with. They don't think that their own candidate can win, and so they're trying to defend against that by like making people vote for the guy they know that can't win.
Right.
Presuming
So they think then that there is more people that agree with Trump, which is why they're pushing the
stupid.
propaganda so hard.
That's stupid.
This is crazy.
They are
What
done
else
through the
she saying?
purview of the presidency. And he is only not immune from strictly personal acts. What that means in regular people terms is that as long as
Like you know
Donald
what a
Trump
regular people thought.
used the apparatuses of the presidency, he can kind of do anything.
No.
No, we can't.
No. In no theory, in no world, in no realm is that true. Like not even remote, not even in the smallest amount of human reality is that true. Not even remotely.
Yeah.
Why do you think it was that he needed, or any president needed to approach Congress to do anything, needed to approach Senate to do anything? Why do you think that he has to wait for a bill to come to his desk?
Mm-hmm.
If he were the kind of person that could do anything in his presidential capacity. Because remember, whether or not he has immunity, your thought process is that he can do something.
Yep.
The immunity idea is not just opening the door for him to do illegal stuff. You're telling me that by default, the presidency is allowing him to do whatever he wants, but he can do whatever he wants with consequence. Now the immunity is gone. He can do whatever he wants without consequence. That's what you want me to believe?
Yeah.
No, that's a stupid theory, Joy. And just like you, to say something stupid, it's the first thing that comes out your mouth.
Yeah.
That's a perfect pose for you because you look a lot like Caesar right now.
Yep.
But he was smarter than you.
So
Caesar.
when he ordered his Justice Department or tried to pressure his Justice Department and threatened to install different people in the Justice Department to come up with fake evidence of voter fraud so that he could declare the elections in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Arizona and Georgia to have been invalid. He can do that.
But he didn't when he was president, because you can't do that. That is not how the presidency works.
Yeah. Even then, we've already had precedent of using alternate slated electors in a previous election.
Thank you.
With Nixon as the vice president. So it's not like this has never happened before. They're just pretending like it's such an egregious thing. Because even then, Nixon was like, yeah, I'm not going to count those. I'm going to count the other electors. Right?
This is insane.
Yeah.
All
What
the
else?
communications that he had with the Justice Department, even if they were criminal in nature, are immune from prosecution and cannot be used by prosecutors, by Jack Smith.
You can
and others.
still be impeached and
He can do
removed
it
from
because he used
office
the
and
official
then
instruments of the presidency.
prosecuted.
What do you mean used by Jack Smith? You're assuming that anybody's going to assign Jack Smith if Donald Trump is president. How stupid are you? How dumb are you, lady?
Yeah.
Jack Smith was appointed, right? Who's going to appoint him if Donald Trump is president? If you say he's a
Nobody.
king, who in the hell is going to appoint Jack Smith? How? You know you can't answer that question because you're a moron.
Yeah.
The kind of stupidity that these people spew and expect people to believe it. You know, Jack Smith is under the regime right now of Biden. If President Trump becomes president, guaranteed you Jack Smith will have no power to do anything. Like you said, right? So
He
how
can
you
have a
mentioning
job.
Jack Smith?
But honorary Harvard fellow, right?
Golly.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is like people tend to forget that the executive branch is the one that is responsible for all these things, right? And the head of the executive branch is the president of the United States. At least it's supposed to be. I want to point that out. It is supposed to be. The president is allowed to fire heads of agencies anytime he feels like it. They serve at the pleasure of the president. It's even said in the oath that they take when they go into. I serve at the pleasure of the president.
This is insane. And you know why? I know why? This is what you call lack of civics 101.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look,
They don't
just
like
like
generals. Generals
I
can
will
and
tell you
officers
this.
can be fired at any time.
When I became a citizen, and I'll tell you what, this was back in 2003 and 4, okay? The test that you had to take to become eligible to be sworn in as a U.S. citizen was quite robust. I don't know how it is now, but you had to know everything about it, at minimum, the base use of government, the tiers of government, the powers of government, where no powers of government lay. You had to know all of that. They gave you the little, well, it wasn't a little book, it was about that thick. You had, I think I got about 6 months to get everything together in my mind, and I went and took the test. Of course, I aced the test because I knew all this crap before I got here, but most people wouldn't. The idea that this woman made it to TV and doesn't know half the stuff that most legal immigrants knows is not giving me much hope for the education system.
Yep.
Thank you, George Bush. That's insane to me. But she gets even more dumb.
When he tried to pressure Mike Pence, including using a violent insurrection to pressure him to accept fake electors instead of the real ones.
No proof of that at all, mind you, because they
Zero.
never got the chance to present any electors, by the way, at Jan 6, in case people forgot. So I don't know how you can pressure Mike Pence to take anything when none of that was presented. Make that one make sense, of course, but he's, they've already pushed their propaganda out for people to believe the nonsense. So she can say that stuff willy-nilly, and the clowns that listen to her will believe it.
Biden wants to accept the electors of himself and Donald Trump instead. As long as he used the official apparatuses of the presidency to do it, he can do it. Presumably,
still believe
if he were
Russiagate.
to use SEAL Team 6 to try to assassinate one of his political opponents, so long as he did it through the auspices of the presidency, let's say use the NSA to say, let me investigate the Bidens as a national security threat. And then we need to go ahead and assassinate them when they take a foreign trip.
You won't need to make them take a foreign trip, you monkey, because you don't need to do that if you already set the investigation and prove that they are guilty. If you're telling me he can use the apparatus, let's do it. Let's go with your moronic idea. They've used the apparatus of the presidency to prove that Biden was guilty of treason. He won't need to wait until that wet old dog bag takes a trip. He could end him, his wife, his kids on U.S. soil. It's treason. But of course, you don't know the meaning of the word treason because you're too stupid. But again, that is not how the office of the president works. works.
Yeah, because you're not, because that's what they did with the American citizens they killed under Obama, right? With Anwar al-Awlaki. They waited until he was in another country we weren't at war with, and then bombed a restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a war
All
crime.
right.
That's what you
Yep.
call a war crime.
It is a war crime, and he's still running free because apparently, if even if like we said, even if the immunity thing went away, is anybody ever going to go after Obama for killing 2 U.S. citizens?
No, because it'd be racist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Even though he's
exactly-
actually committed a crime worthy of investigation, or Hillary Clinton with her destruction of government property. At the very least. I'm not even talking about the secret documents she's leaked or that she's made out in the ether. I'm just talking about just that crime alone. She still has yet to been held to account.
I know why they couldn't arrest the Obamas. They weren't sure which prison to put Michael in. Anyway, so let's finish off with her.
Just go ahead and
Yes.
use drones to assassinate them, let's say, in a foreign country. And we'll use SEAL Team 6 to go in and get them like they got Bin Laden. As long as you do it through the official apparatuses of the presidency, he can do it. He can do anything. When you're president, they let you do it.
Until it's deemed not an official act. That's the whole point of their ruling.
Yes. And again, it's her spewing this nonsense. She was talking about using SEAL Team 6, but she's not talking about the fact that a whole bunch of leftists said the same thing. Now, do you really think SEAL Team 6 will get an order to go and take out a political opponent? That is an unlawful order for one. So, you know, even the chain of command, they'd be like, whoa, we are not going to do that. So it's just all this, like Biden says, hyperbole, this fear-mongering nonsense that they're throwing out there. And what they're doing, they're planting these seeds in people's heads. And this is why you hear a lot of these creators on X, TikTok, and all these other platforms saying the same exact thing. SEAL Team 6. SEAL Team 6.
Well, how many times did she use that term, apparatus of the president?
Yeah. So here's the thing I want to point out that's really interesting for people is that you can do anything. Literally, you could literally do anything. It's the consequences of doing anything is what happens to you. So like I can go and rob a bank, for instance. I have the ability and I could do such a thing. But there is a thing that after doing so, I will be punished for doing it. Same thing with the president. I could try to kill somebody under my official duties, right? But then people would go, no, that's not right. And then I would face the consequences of said actions.
That's not official. Like this guy. Now, remember, we've heard at least 6 people, 6, easily call for the death of Donald Trump. We've heard that, right? Now, mind you, this is not even, let's take his official capacity off the table. It is also unlawful for you to threaten to kill somebody else, even just a regular U.S. citizen. Okay, just so you know, you can't be making those kinds of threats. They can be taken as real, and you can be arrested for it. Did you know? Did you all know that? I know that. So let's just take it, for instance, that Donald Trump isn't president. Right, he's not president. And this clown decides to threaten to kill President Trump, like Harry, you know, Harry Sesson did, which I do really hope that Harry gets arrested and sent to prison to become somebody's butt buddy. I really do. To the point where he farts and nothing comes out but air. And you just say, oh, that would be great.
Hey, Biden already prepped him.
This man was suspected of threatening.
Yep.
Mind you, listen carefully. He wasn't accused and seen and actually said, yes, he did. He was suspected of threatening President Joe Biden, and they killed him. Now, we saw 6, and not one of them will be served an FBI warrant for their statements.
Nope.
Why? Because they work for the apparatus. They work for the system.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
They're going under the assumption that the administrative state would actually listen to Trump in the first place. I want to point that out because his entire time in the office for those 4 years, they did not listen to him. They actively lied to him and obfuscated anything that he ever tried to do. I want to remind you, Milley, being a great example, lied to Trump to his face about troops in Syria when he tried to get them out. Lied to him. A general who is supposed to serve at the pleasure of the president lied to him. And you point that out. So like they're assuming that Donald Trump would have control over the state in the first place. He would have to clean it out first before he could even do any of those things that they're trying to say he's going to be able to do.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we're just showing how unhinged these people are. And the closer it gets to this election, it's going to get worse. There's that new thing going around about Trump and Epstein Island. They're getting desperate right now. And if you go to X, you'll see it. And no matter how much truth you show these leftists, no matter what you show them, they still run with that narrative. Why? Because as Marlon stated, they all work for the system. They are protected by the same system. So they can say what they want. Let somebody from the right, let someone from the right get on there and say the same exact words verbatim that Harry Sisson said, or one of these left-wing propagandists say. Just exactly like verbatim, just spew the same thing. They'd be having a knock on their door. They'll be locked up immediately. It'll be all over the news. They're talking about a domestic terrorist. They call them Jace. They'll call them all types of stuff. But these people can get up there and do all this stuff, and there's nothing. The mainstream media doesn't even talk about it. This is how you know they're all in it together.
The best part of what I see coming, which is it's solidifying my theory about no election. Here's why I say it's solidifying it. They brought up this 2025 agenda, right? And what they're phasing it in as is a fascist regime piece of paper. And they've already classified the fascism idea as domestic terrorist, right? If they deem anyone pushing that agenda to be such, they can implement, and look, they're going to be doing the exact same thing that they're going to accuse Trump of, right? They're going to eventually find a way to implement martial law somewhere over that fact that they're afraid that the people who are pushing Agenda 2025 will somehow influence the elections by violent means, and we have to implement some sort of way to cushion or block it. And the best way to do that, no election, and the best way to make no election is to put everybody on lock and key. I still stand by my no election 24 prediction. That's what I think is going to happen.
And another thing, Marlon, is like they keep talking about this agenda Project 2025, but they never mention agenda 2030.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about this that the left wing, Klaus Schwab is pushing. They don't want to talk about Agenda 30. They're only talking about this thing because they try to tie it to Trump. And in no way, shape, or form is Agenda or Project 2025 tied to Trump. Trump came out and said, I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
Right. A lot of people should be looking at the pandemic treaty, which everybody in the world has already signed, including the United States, or almost everybody in the world. There's a handful of people that haven't, but the United States has. And that's an even scarier prospect than whatever they're trying to make Donald Trump out of. But our only saving grace right now is that there's a civil war in the Democratic Party between Jill Biden. I'm talking about Jill, not Joe. Jill Biden is running the show in the White House right now, and she's trying to stay in power. And the Obamas and the Democratic establishment are trying to figure a way out to get her out. Yeah, because Joe is just following whatever Jill tells him, and she doesn't want to leave. The Obamas and everybody else want them to leave.
And to Retro's question, tune in Monday. We are going to break down both Agenda 47 and Project 2025 on Monday here on the Savage Patriots.
Yeah, that's Monday's topic.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I give everybody the heads up preview, so you can make sure you get this shared. Okay, we are going live Monday, and we're going to be talking about both. Now we have both Agenda 2025 in its entirety and Project 47 in its entirety. What we're going to do is compare the two, and we're going to show you the statement that Donald Trump has officially made to distance himself from 2025. Yeah. So anything that's said in 2025 cannot be applied to his platform because he does not endorse it, nor does he care about it because he has his own. So for anyone that's wanting to push that Trump wants 2025, we'll prove to you that one, you don't think for yourself, and two, it's not true. He does not want anything to do with 2025.
Right, and that was created 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Thank you.
By the Heritage Foundation. It's going nowhere.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. But hey, in either case, we'll talk Monday for sure. Now, it might be a longer session because we will have to break this out really well.
Yeah.
We don't want to half do this. So if you guys are coming in Monday, prep for a minimum of 2, because if we want to make sure this information gets out, you have to be patient enough to get it out. This is not TikTok. This is not Instagram. This is not Reels. This is not Facebook quick scroll. This is not Shorts. Because we're tired of having people just kind of Oh yeah, I hear 5 seconds, I'm good, and that's all the information you get. That's not how information is digested. You have to
That's
get
right.
the full picture so you can know what is going on. So if you want to really know what is happening in 2 seconds, for really, with the second reason is that you can combat the idiots, so you know exactly what's in. When they say this is an Agenda 25, you can say it's not. No, it's not. And you can tell them exactly which page it's on that is not in there. So this is why we want to educate people on it, because it's not that we don't have the info out there, it's that people don't want to listen.
That's right.
So make sure you get
We
it.
should-
I'll set up the show tonight so you can have the link, and make sure you share the live when it's coming up on Monday so people know to show up.
And
We should cover
tomorrow,
the pandemic treaty too.
Yeah.
At some point.
yeah, and tomorrow, don't forget, we are on Rumble tomorrow, right? Or no?
We are.
Okay, yeah,
We
we'll
are?
be on
Okay.
Rumble.
We are Rumble tomorrow. So we'll catch up then. Lee had an emergency pop up. That's why he disappeared. He inboxed it. So we will be back tomorrow. Don't miss that. We have a lot of info coming Monday. Make sure you get that word spread as much as you can to tune in Monday. Share that particular live coming up. Make sure you hit your notifications for that, because it's going to be a big deal. We're going to try and do as much marketing. The thing is, TikTok is not allowing me to market on it. Anytime I posted it, it went nowhere. It was a straight violation without any views.
Same here. I posted.
Don't know how that
posted
happened.
for 'em.
So we're not going to get traction there. So we're depending on you guys to make sure it's marketed on Facebook and on your Instagram. You can test it on TikTok. I don't know if it'll work, but you can try.
And just know that, you know, I make whenever I put a thumbnail up, and I know Lynn does it, but whenever, and others do it, but whenever I put a thumbnail up, I allow it to be shareable. So, you know, if you guys follow us on other social media platforms, Facebook, you know, all of them, our thumbnails and our content and everything we talk about the upcoming podcast is shareable. Just click that button and just share it. There might be somebody that's interested. You never know, that's in your groups. So just sharing it to help us out a lot and getting the information out.
This is our Twitter page. Make sure you guys go check us on Twitter. Okay. Start following, because we're going to start streaming there too while we're doing our live. So just be ready for that. I have to just get it set up here. That's the only thing I have left to do, is to get it set up. Okay.
And look, there's the video preview.
There's the ad. Now, this is the ad for it. So make sure you share this particular ad, not just the thumbnail. This is an actual conversation about what we're going to take place Monday. So make sure you tune in. Do not miss out. Okay. This is a big deal. This is going to be a matter of you getting the information that most people don't want to hear. When you go to other platforms, they're not going to read Agenda 2025 to you. They're not going to read 47 to you. They're going to tell you, this is the bullet points. We don't want to do bullet points. We're not. We're going to give you the info directly. Okay, directly. So we'll see you guys on tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern. Be sure you tune into Rumble event. We'll be there. We will not be televised on YouTube, not even for advertising purposes. Make sure you understand that. We went straight into the Rumble, straight in. Just get that, okay? So we'll catch you guys then. Make sure you tune in. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. We out. Peace.
War.